a conceptual framework for communication planning. Now consider the family vacation. Okay, planning one seems like a relatively straightforward business, right? One simply decides where to go, when to go, and how to go. Now, yet on closer examination, it is not quite such a simple thing to do, is it? In fact, planning a vacation for your family can involve the same complex issues that are associated with that can be associated with planning for national communication systems. The issues appear in a simplified form, but they are there nonetheless. So let us begin with our goal to have a vacation. Actually, there is probably not your goal at all. Okay, it is a strategy you have chosen as a way to achieve your goal, which may be to relax from the pressures of work, or to see some new sights, or to spend more time with your children, or to visit your relatives, or perhaps some combination of all the three. So, the choice of vacation as strategy means you have decided that it is the best way to achieve the goal, better than some of the alternatives you had, such as staying home to sleep and tend the garden. You made this decision using some kind of theory or cause effect model, correct? If I take a vacation, then I will achieve my goal. This theory can come from experience or from information you have received. It could be a book, a travel brochure, right? In choosing that strategy, you had to take into account key aspects of the system you're planning for, that is your family, and the environment in which it exists. Okay, you took a look at the elements of your system, the family members, your resources, and your capabilities. Who wants to go where? What can we afford this year? How much time do we have? You may have had to draw some of the initial boundaries around your system, deciding perhaps not to take mother along this year. Depending on the kind of society you live in and the cultural views there about how decisions are made. You might have announced your decision and expected everyone to agree. Or you may have discussed it with your family at some length, whether to go, where to go, when to go, and worked out a compromise solution. You may have even had to struggle and fight a bit to reach the eventual strategy choice. This social image dimension of your planning was probably also reflected in the way in which it was determined, where you work, that you could have a vacation at all. It may be that your organization is very orderly with well established procedures and customs for such things. Everyone leaves Paris in July, and that is that, right? Or the situation might be more fluid, with employees negotiating the timing and duration of leave. You might even have had to argue strongly that you should go rather than someone else. Your position in the hierarchy of power probably had something to do with your ability and freedom to take a holiday. Your family's position in a similar hierarchy of parents and grandparents of clan allegiances also had an effect on your freedom to choose to take your vacation. Your religion, its values, and its rules may also have had an effect in determining what your goals and strategies are. Perhaps a pilgrimage to a holy place leading to a spiritual renewal is more important than relaxation at the seashore. So you have worked your way through all of this and have settled firmly on a vacation away from home. You now have to decide where to go: the mountains, the seashore, the old hometown. First, though, you will probably decide how to go ahead with your planning and decisions, right? You recognize that there are several possible approaches to your planning. So far, you have been making your decisions in sequence. The broad general decision on a vacation away from home. First, the more detailed decision, which involves more careful analysis of alternatives. Second, this is typical of one of several planning approaches called mixed scanning, a form of rational planning. Okay, often these approaches are quite different. As an alternative, for example, you could simply have boarded the first bus but off the city to see what would happen. Okay, a more incremental form of planning. Okay, let us assume you have chosen a form of the mixed scanning planning approach. The decision on where to go then requires that you obtain information about the alternatives. What are the prices at the various places? What can one do there to relax? Visit relatives? See new sites? Pick one according to your goal. You use information from the past. Like the Smith family went to the mountains last year. Let us ask them, right? And you use information about the future. What will the weather be like at the seashore in July? Will the prices change? Sometimes the information is pretty certain. Other times the situation is very uncertain, particularly if you are planning for in advance. Okay, then you must rely on predictions about the future, the weather, the prices, and your uncertainty increases, particularly as the number of things that you are uncertain about increases, making the situation more and more complex. As you review the information and options about where to go, you keep your goal in the back of your mind. Which destination seems to offer the maximum chance that you will realize your goal? Will I relax more in the mountains or at the old hometown? If you have several goals, which place seems to give the optimum or best balance of achievements? You may not be able to work it all out exactly because there are too many combinations of things and many be satisfied with a good enough choice. One that seems the best to you and your family, even though you know you have not fully considered each possibility. You are maximizing, optimizing, or satisfying. Having decided where to go, you now begin planning on how to get there and what to take. In planning to implement your vacation, you consider resources, alternative technologies like the bus or the plane, time schedules, and equipment. That is, will it be swimming or tennis? Right? So, the cultural and religious values that helped you choose your goal also affect the choices you make about implementation. The timing of your trip, for example, may have to be adjusted to the schedule of religious holidays and celebrations. Finally, as you leave the house, you probably make some remark like this: "This planning has sure been a lot of work. I'm going to watch carefully to see what happens so that planning next year's vacation will be easier. I also want to find out if indeed I can really relax at the seashore." You are, of course, getting ready to evaluate your vacation in terms of your goal as well as the adequacy of your own planning. Along the way, you have probably used some methods in your planning. You made lists of alternatives with information about each. Sometimes you used these to test out your theory about vacations leading to goals. You made some budgets. You and your family talked at some length about what it would be like and what might happen at each location. You evaluated alternative scenarios. You made some projections and some schedules. You probably even worked out assignments for different family members, both for planning and for implementation. The planning approach you used probably had something to do with the methods that you chose and the way you used them. If you were extremely well organized and rational in your analysis, you probably used more methods and used them more formally.